Oh, it's 17.
Okay, let's start in the first section, 1 through 9. Let's start with 1 through 9. I'm not doing all, so pick maybe 2 to 3 from 1 through 9.
4 and 6.
4, 6.
4 and 7.
Can we do 4, 6, and 7?
Yeah, please.
4, 6, 7. No.
Just 4, 6, 7.
Okay, 4, 6, 7, and you guys are okay on number 2?
So you do 1, 2.
1. All right, how about I set some of these up and the rest you can do on your own. Okay, 2x to the negative 1 plus 3y raised to the negative 1. This was everyone's favorite unit, if you remember, back when we had like 40 kids in the class. All right. Okay. Shh, gentlemen, put your phones away, please. Okay, negative exponents. It's just trying to get you to recognize the difference between these two. This one, both the 2 and the x, or just the x go down. And the 2 stays up because it's held together with multiplication. Plus 2 separate fractions because of the plus sign. What about this one? The 3 stays or goes? 3y, which leaves 1 at the top. And at this point, it's just finding a common denominator, which would be what? 3xy, which means you'd multiply this by what? 3y. And this one by, and I wrote that down incorrectly, sorry. 3y over 3y, and this one top and bottom by what? X. Okay. Now, I still have some kids that are clearing their denominator. Oh, I'm going to multiply everything by 3xy and clear. Can anybody tell me why this is not a problem? Okay, there's 2 different variables. We still clear when there's 2 different variables. Why else? It's not a what? Complex fraction. We only do all that clearing 2 times. Complex fraction, or when there's a what sign? Equal sign. There's neither of those here. There's no equal sign. There's no complex fraction. So we don't clear. 6y plus x. Can you go any further? As tempting as it is, can I reduce the 3 and the 6? No. So check your answers. I did tell you guys your answers were in the back. Is that the answer? Yes? Okay, I know you guys did not ask for number 2, but I want to at least set it up. 3 parentheses x plus y to the negative 1 minus 2. How many separate fractions here? 2. First one, what moves to the bottom? And what stays at the top? Minus 2 over 1. And you guys can finish it from there. What's your common denominator? What, louder, I couldn't hear you guys. There is one thing I want to talk about that I know I said I would leave you with, but right here, do I have to multiply by anything? No? Here, what do I have to multiply top and bottom by? And keeping in mind, it's not a positive 2 that you are distributing, but a what? Negative 2. That's what I wanted to point out. There is a negative 2 there. Be careful with that negative sign. All right. 4. 1 over 1 plus 5x all over 1 plus 5x all over 1 plus 5x. All right, is this a complex fraction? So is this one that I can just clear? Yes or no? Yes? All right, when I clear it, I multiply everything. I have 3 separate fractions here. I multiply everything by the common denominator. What is the common denominator? 1 plus 5x. All right, first fraction, top. What reduces? Everything. What does that leave me with at the top? 1. Okay, here nothing reduces. Distribute your 1. It's 1 plus 5x. Here, what reduces? There, and what am I left with? Plus what? So what is my final answer? 1 over what? 1 plus what? 1 plus 10x. Questions on number 4? Yes.
Could you just add quadrant fraction with it and multiply it?
Yes, definitely. So instead of doing everything here, could you have written this as 1 plus 5x over 1 plus 5x, common denominator, and then multiplied by the reciprocal? Yes, yes, you could. Does anyone want to see it that way? We're okay? All right. Number 6, 3x to the negative 2 plus 7x to the negative 1 plus 2. Yes, I will fix it right now. Thank you. Right here. 3x to the negative 2 minus 7x to the negative 1 plus 2 over x to the negative 2 minus 4. Okay, when we did this unit back at the beginning of the semester, feels like so long ago, you had 2 choices. Does anybody remember what either one of those 2 choices were? Factor first and then reduce, or change everything to a fraction. Complex fraction is correct. Yes.
Why wouldn't you switch everything and get the negative exponents and magnitude?
Very good question. We did talk about that back then. Can anybody answer that? These are negative exponents. Why can't we just flip-flop things up and down? Does anybody remember the answer to that? We did talk about it back in the beginning.
Term?
It's because of the
Oh, and then
minus and plus signs. If it was all multiplication, you could move things up and down all you want. But you throw plus or minus signs in there, you can no longer do that. Okay? So do you guys have a preference on the method I choose? Complex fraction, clear, and then factor and reduce? Or factor, reduce, and then change, get rid of the negative exponents?
factor.
Factor first. Okay, the only way to get 3 is 3 and 1. So 3x and x, and they're both raised to what power? Negative 1. The only way to get 2, I know it's going to be minus, minus, so that could be positive and a negative 7. You just have to figure out, is it 1, 2 or 2, 1? Anyone want to tell me? 1, 2 or 2, 1? 1, 2. 6, negative 1, does that give me the negative 7 in the middle? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right, double bubble, x plus 2, x minus 2. Where did I mess up?
You have it on the negative 1 on both.
Negative 1 on the exponents to make the negative 2. All right, we only like to reduce first, and I've told you guys this before as well, is if reducing, you only want to factor first if factoring allows you to reduce. Does this factoring allow me to reduce? Yes. This piece here is gone. All right, now can I leave my answer here with negative exponents? Yes or no? Okay, so 1 over 3x or 3 over x? Minus 1, and then 1 over x plus 2. If it helps you, you can make everything a fraction, 1 over 1, 2 over 1, and then now is where we clear. What do we multiply everything by? X. Okay, x is reduced in the first fraction, leaving us with what? 3 take away 1 times x is x, and then the x reduces here, leaving me with 1, and then plus what? 2x. Questions on that one?
Why isn't like the 3 and the x together?
Why isn't the 3 and the x together? This one up here?
I know, like how you switch where it was like the 3 over the x. Why wouldn't it be like 1 over?
Good question. Can anybody answer that? He's asking right here, why did the 3 stay at the top and the x move? Why doesn't the 3 move with the x? Who can answer that? Because it's being multiplied. And is that negative 1 attached to 3 or just the x? Just the x. Unless it was written like this in parentheses, then it would both go down. If it's not in parentheses, just what's attached to the negative moves, and that whatever's not attached stays. Does that make sense? Good question. All right. Did anybody do this one a different way? Did anybody complex fraction it first? No, nobody did it on their own? Would anybody, if you were to do it on your own, would anybody have chosen to complex fraction it first and clear it? Could you still do it that way? Yes. And again, there's more than one right way to get to the final answer. All right. Does anybody want me to show it that way or move on? Move on? Okay. Number 7. Oh, I see why you guys asked for 7. Remember, I recycle these papers when I'm done if anybody wants to hold on to them. X minus 3 raised to the 1/2 minus 2x parentheses x minus 3 raised to the negative 1/2 all over x minus 3 raised to the negative 1/2. Okay, I'm definitely not going to factor, but I am going to change these two to fractions. Do you see that? So how many separate fractions am I going to have? 3. This first one is just going to be itself over 1. Yes or no? Okay. This next one goes back to Caleb's question. On this one, Caleb, can you answer us? Does everything move?
No.
What stays at the top? 2x. And the bottom is x minus 3 raised to the 1/2. If you would like to, could you change this to a square root instead of a 1/2 power? Yes, totally up to you. Over, and then 1 over x minus 3 raised to the positive 1/2 power. Can you guys see that this is a complex fraction? What am I going to multiply everything by to clear it? X minus 3 to the 1/2. Okay, let's see what happens. First one here, they're the same base, and because they're the same base, what do we do with the exponents when we're multiplying like bases? Add them. What's 1/2 plus 1/2? So it's just x minus 3. Do you guys agree with that? X minus 3 raised to what power? 1. Do I have to write to the power of 1? Okay, minus, what reduces here? Everything. What does that leave me with? All over, does everything reduce here as well? Leave me with 1. You now have like terms. What are your like terms? So what does that give you? Negative x minus 3. All right, and I should have opened it up for questions 10 or 11. So do you want to? Anyone want to see 10 or 11? 11 looks like number 1, kind of.
Yeah, let's see number
Yeah, 10. Okay. X over x squared minus 4 plus 2 over 4 minus x squared. There's no negative exponent, so it's not going to be a complex fraction. So my clearing denominators, can I pull out a negative? So first off, I'm not clearing denominators, but I'm going to pull out a negative from which one? Does it matter which one? No, I like to do the second because I can put the negative right in the middle. So x over x squared minus 4, that plus becomes a what? Minus 2 over, and 4 minus x squared becomes what when I pull out the negative? X squared minus 4. The negative x squared became positive, the positive 4 became negative. Now do they have a common denominator? I'm going to let you guys finish it. What is the numerator going to become when you combine them on one fraction? X minus 2, and what are you going to have to do with the denominator? Factor, and after you factor, would you be able to reduce? Yes. Combine it on one fraction, factor, and reduce. All right, let's look at the next sections, 12 through 21. Glance through and see if you have, I'll take maybe 3 to 4 questions from that section. Did you guys feel like the first part was harder or the second part? The second part was harder? All of them? Is that what I heard? All right. So right now I'm in sections 12 through 21.
17.
Okay, let me put the numbers here. 12 through 21. And you said 17. Any others?
21.
Did I hear 21? How about cube factoring? There's 18 that's a cube factoring. 18. And how about some, like 19 is probably a good one to go over, or 20. 19 and 20. All right. 17. X squared minus 10x plus 21 squared minus 2 parentheses x squared minus 10x plus 21 minus 15. Who asked for this one? Let me stop there. Okay. Janelle, any idea at all, like any advice, anything you remember from beginning of the year?
Do you split up the first one?
Okay, like, what do you mean by split up? Like factor?
Yeah. Or wait, because there's two of those. I don't know.
Wasn't that a
Substitution is like a GCF.
It's not a GCF, but I hear a few of you whispering. What is it? Substitution. Do you guys see that? The reason I asked first if you had any suggestions is because I just wanted to see how many of you guys remembered the substitution method. It is something you will have to do. Now, those of you that don't like substitution method, can you factor it as it is? Yes, and we've done enough of these where some of you might feel comfortable with it. U squared minus 2u minus 15. Janelle, when you see that, is that something where you feel like, oh, that I can do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so recognizing, guys, because it has been a while, recognizing what type of problem is what. Do you want me to continue or you've got it? Continue? Okay, double bubble. U plus minus to get a negative 15. It looks like 5 and 3 plus what? Minus what? Minus 5 plus 3. Positive 3, negative 5, negative 2. And then what do I do at this point? Put them back in. Plus 3, minus 5, and I'm going to put my u back in the smaller set of parentheses. What was u again?
X squared minus 10x plus 21.
All right. X squared minus 10x plus 21. Is it okay to leave nested parentheses like this? No, we look to see, is there anything to distribute? Is there anything to distribute out here? Out here on either side? No, so I drop them and combine like terms if like terms exist. And are there like terms? X squared minus 10x plus what? Plus what? I have a plus 21 and a plus 3, so plus 24. And then x squared minus 10x. And this one I think I heard earlier. What is it? 16. All right. If you leave it like this, is there a possible chance you might get it wrong? Why? What's a possibility? Still factor, double bubble for each one. So try it. I'll let you guys finish from there. And you can check your answers. Again, they're on the back page. What was that?
X minus 2 minus 1.
For you have the answer. Tell me what it was.
X minus 6, X minus 1.
Okay.
And then the other one is I don't know the other one yet.
Okay.
Oh, 8 and 2.
8 minus 8 minus 2. All right. Good job. Questions on 17. Okay. 18. $125 x cubed minus y cubed. Do you guys need this one? Yes or no? Okay, what was the SOAP formula? Before I give it to you, is it something you definitely need for the test?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just going to do a minus because there's a minus in that problem. Find out what A is first, find out what B is first, then it's A minus B, A squared plus the product of the two, same, opposite, always positive, B squared. Same sign, opposite sign, always positive. All right, so the first thing I've always told you guys to do was break it down to its basic form. What to the third power is 125x cubed? 5x. Do you guys all agree that 5x times 5x times 5x is that there? What to the third is y cubed? Because y times y times y is y cubed. All right, what is A in this problem? And what is B? Nowhere in our final answer are we going to use the 125, the x cubed, or the y cubed. All right, so A is 5x, take away B, take away y, parentheses. When I square A squared, is it okay to write it like this, 5x squared? No, when I'm squaring all of it, including the 5. So what should I write here? 25x squared plus the product of 5x and y, and that is what? 5xy, always positive, y squared. So is cube factoring something you definitely want to go over? Yes. If this had been a plus sign, it would be plus, minus, plus. Same, opposite, always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. All right, questions on 18. All right. I'm actually going to do 20 before I do 19. X squared minus 10x plus 25 minus y squared. How many terms are there here? How many terms? 4. 4 terms implies what kind of factoring method? Factor by grouping. Now you learned last year the 2 by 2, correct? And then this year we learned there was also a 3-1 or a 1-3. Do you guys remember that? Now I typically look for the 3-1 and 1-3 first because it's really easy to figure out. For example, if I cover this last term, does that look like something I could factor? Not only something I could factor, but something I could eventually write as a quantity squared. That's what I need to be able to do. Yes or no? What does that first term factor to? X minus 5 times x minus 5. Do we all agree? And is that the same as x minus 5 quantity squared? At this point, substitution if you want, u squared minus y squared, or factor as it is. Can you guys see that it's difference of 2 squares? What method would you want me to use? Factor as is or substitution? Factor as is. I'm going to do the easy part first. What am I going to end up with at the end? Plus and minus what? Y. And then here is this. What do I put here? So when I multiply them together, I get x minus 5 quantity squared. Is x minus 5 times x minus 5, x minus 5 quantity squared. All right. Is there anything to distribute on either parenthesis? X minus 5 plus y, x minus 5 minus y. Any like terms? Anything else I can do? No, that's the final answer. Okay. Is this another factor by grouping? Don't forget there will be 2 by 2s where they're 2, 2, but I like to check the 3, 1 and the 1, 3 first because they're quick and easy to check. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to cover the last term. There's 3 terms. Does that look like a perfect square trinomial? Okay, so cover that. Does that look like it could possibly be a perfect square trinomial?
Yes.
1 times 1 is 1. It adds up to 2. Now, the reason I wanted to do this one second is because this one has an extra step. Does anybody know what I have to do before I double bubble this? Good job, guys. Pull out a negative. X squared plus 2x plus 1. I have to pull out a negative because covering this, that leaves me with the negative y squared, which that's not going to be a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so y squared minus double bubble xx plus what? 1. So is that y squared minus the quantity x plus 1 squared? When you do these factor by grouping where it's a 3-1 or a 1-3, it's going to come out to be a difference of 2 squares eventually. Just like this last one did. Difference of 2 squares, difference of 2 squares. Substitution or no substitution? Did I hear no substitution? Okay. So big exaggerated parentheses. I'm going to do the easy part first. What comes here in the very beginning? Y and y, because y times y is y squared. What are my 2 signs here? I heard minus plus and I heard plus minus. Does it matter the order? No. What goes in my little parentheses so that I get the quantity squared there? What is it? No, Lonnie, do you have a question for me?
Oh, never mind.
You got it? Do you want to say it out loud just in case anyone else had it?
Well, I was looking at the answer and it said y minus x plus 1, so I just forgot you have to distribute.
Okay. So you see it now with the parentheses. Okay. So she was looking at the answer and didn't see how it was going to work out, but she sees it now because of that negative having to distribute. So first one, when you distribute a positive, it stays y plus x plus 1, and then y minus x minus 1. Any like terms? No? Final answer. And there's nothing else I can do. I can't factor. That is it. Questions? Okay. Number 20. Oh, darn it. Okay. Oh, I did. So am I 21? I am, huh? 21. All right. Quantity of x plus y squared minus 3, quantity x plus y plus 2. Janelle, I'm going to have you help with this one because this is similar to the very first one you asked earlier. Substitution. Do you guys all see the substitution method? So I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to start it. What would you let u equal? X plus y, which would give you u squared minus 3u plus 2. And I'll let you guys finish it from there. All right. While you're finishing that up, can you guys glance through and see if you have any last minute questions? Or do you feel better now that we've reviewed all that we did? Number 3? Yes on 3?
Yeah, number 3.
Okay. X squared minus y squared raised to the negative 1, and then x plus y in parentheses. Is that correct? And how are these two held together right here with the multiplication, addition, or subtraction? Okay, so because this is one big term, it's chunky, but it's one big term held together with multiplication, can I change it to one fraction? What's moving to the bottom? What's staying at the top? Now, if you did change it to 2 separate fractions, you would put it like this. 1 over x squared minus y squared times x plus y over 1. Would that pretty much be the same thing? Yes. I'm going to let you finish it from here. What do you do with the denominator? Not GC. If it is factorable, what kind of factoring?
Oh,
Difference of 2 squares, the dots. Good. Difference of 2 squares, and then it's going to reduce, and then you're done. Yes.
On number 5, what do you do with the negative one on the outside?
Good. That's a good question. That number 5 came up on the units review packet as well as I believe on the test. Do you see that? Can I distribute that -1 inside? No, because what sign do I have in here? Plus sign, plus or minus, I can't distribute exponents. There's a few different ways to approach this. You can cover this, do this inside first, and then address the negative exponent at the end. Or you can do the negative on exponent on the outside and then the inside second. Any preference?
Or couldn't you just like change it to like a fraction?
Yes, but you have to debate which ones are you going to do first. The little fractions on the inside or one big fraction?
Say do the inside.
The inside? Okay, so 2 over x plus 1 over y, and all this is raised to the -1, which we're ignoring for now. Do you guys agree? 2 over x, 1 over y. What's my common denominator? What do I multiply the first fraction by to get xy? And that gives me what? 2y? What do I multiply the second fraction by? And 1 times x is? Any like terms for 2y plus x? Yes or no? Okay, now is the inside one term or two terms? One big fraction, one term or two terms? Now that it's one term, now I can put that exponent to the whole thing. What does a -1 exponent do to a fraction? Flip it. Or what does it do to any base? It flips it. So this is going to become xy over 2y plus x. And now that negative exponent on the outside is gone, because I already addressed it by flipping the fraction, reciprocal. Questions?
On number 7, I just had a question on
Mhm.
when you multiply, you do the complex fraction thing, and then you multiply x minus 3 to the 1/2 power. Why don't you multiply x minus 3 to the x minus 3?
Okay, so you're talking about this one here that we did earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, so which
The
part?
first fraction that you multiplied.
This one?
Yeah, why didn't the x minus 3 to x minus 3 to the second power because you're multiplying?
Good question. Okay, I'm going to repeat her question a little bit louder so you guys can all hear it, and maybe one of you can answer. She said, when I did this one earlier, why didn't I write it as x minus 3 to the second power? So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to erase it, but that's her question. Why didn't I write it like that if there's two of them? Who can answer that for us?
Do the algebra.
Okay, so she said when you're multiplying like bases, you add the exponents, and 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. If they had both been to a power of 1 instead of a 1/2, would you have the squared there? Yes, but because it was a power of 1/2, 1/2 and 1/2 adds up to 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good question. Anyone else?
Can I see the number 5 again?
Yeah. Okay. I want you guys right now either finishing this if you haven't finished already or working on Unit 2. Tonight's assignment is Unit 2, so you're working on Unit 2 or finishing off Unit 1. Got it? You guys feel a little bit better now that we've gone over it?